Okay, I have to say I was not expecting to be doing this again, especially not so soon, but seems to be back by popular demand. Interesting. This camera makes me look really ill. I'm sorry, my webcam is really shitty quality. I promise I actually don't look quite so dead in person. So, the topic that people have asked me to discuss today is religion, which I realise can be quite controversial. So, before we even get started, here is a little disclaimer. Okay, there may be some views in here that are potentially offensive, and there are other views available on religion, not just mine. Okay, if you're worried about being offended by any of my views on religion, then I suggest you don't bother watching this one. So I'm going to start off by being the nice, balanced, unbiased person that I am, and discussing the good sides of religion, things about religion that are really good. Because actually, I do think there are some really valid and valuable points to do with religion. So I think it's a really interesting and good coping mechanism for people who are having to deal with loss or difficulties in life. I'm not going to pretend that I've not found kind of hope and some sort of solace in religion or religious aspects before at times of hardship. It is useful. That sense of community, that sense of not standing on your own, of always having somebody there, is a really strong and poignant part of religion, and I think it's really important and really valuable, and something that we should admire and something we should learn from. Religious architecture is one of my favourite things in the whole world. I'm absolutely fascinated by cathedrals and can't go to a city that has one without going in, and I am genuinely awed by them. And it's not just cathedrals either that we've been able to Dubai, and we have heard the call to prayer, and it is genuinely, awe-inspiring. It is genuinely beautiful. So I think religion has a lot of beautiful aspects and a lot of things that help people in certain positions, and therefore it has its values. So having said that, as I did in my last video, I'm going to start with a little anecdotal version of my own to do with religion. I grew up singing in church choirs, and did genuinely love it, loved making the music, loved the people that I worked with there. It was fantastic. We went on several trips. I was, fact for you, at the age of 14 on Songs of Praise. Yeah, if you look back to the old 2004 versions of Songs of Praise, there's a trip to Guernsey, and me and my best friend Jen are both in there, so enjoy that. But when I was beginning to struggle with my sexuality, which I realised quite early, I must have been about 13 when I first started thinking about it and trying to consider it, I did go to a member of the church, no names mentioned, just for privacy reasons, and told them about the struggles that I was having. This was about the age of 15, and I was told to leave and never come back, so I did, and I've never gone back to religion either. Okay, so faith and holding true and believing, I think these are all really important things and things we should carry with us in our day-to-day lives. I do think they're important. I do think they're good traits to have in a person. I really, really do. But having said that, I really feel that there are some aspects of religion that really disgust me and really make me angry, and that's not to do with any particular religion. It's religion as a whole. When you think about religion as being the biggest cause of war ever, you can go back hundreds of years and even see as far back as the Cathars being destroyed and being burnt alive for their beliefs. Protestants and Catholics have destroyed each other for years. It's not just different religions, it's interreligions as well. Protestants and Catholics come under the same Christian banner, and yet they've still been killing each other. I see religions as being something that we can blame our problems on, so looking towards God for answers, or blaming God for things that we've done, our actions, sitting still and waiting for things to happen because God doesn't want those for us yet. And I think religion can be made into an excuse at times as well. And I think we ask religion to take responsibility for our actions too, and the things that we believe and the way that we act, we blame that on religion a lot of the time. And I think one of the biggest problems that we have as a race, as humans, is that we can't take responsibility for our own actions, and we do need to blame somebody else, and we do need to have a way out. And religion gives us that way out a lot of the time, which is wrong. We should always have to take responsibility for our own actions. There's this whole sort of God told me to mentality, and it's just not the case. I mean, God didn't tell you to, did he? It was those little voices inside your head. And it's fine, we've all got those, but don't go blaming God for it. it's not right. If you do something that's fundamentally wrong or fundamentally right, take responsibility for that. Don't be blaming God or giving God the credit, because it's just not true. Humans need to take responsibility for what they're doing and what they're saying, and as well as their thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's vitally important, and we really struggle to do that all over the world. We can't expect a God to sit there and provide for us. It's just not the case. If you look at the hundreds and hundreds of people who are starving, no one is better than anybody else. No one deserves to struggle more than anybody else for fundamental reasons. There are people who probably should have a bit more of a hard time because they're arseholes, but there are people out there who suffer for no reason, that don't deserve to suffer any more than we do. It's just a case of luck, and a case of where you're sat in the world. But no one is better than anybody else, and we can't sit there thinking that God will provide for us or God will do good for us when there are hundreds of people out there that aren't being done good for. We can't let God take responsibility for the way we live our lives, especially if there turns out not to be one. That'd be awkward for you, wouldn't it? For me, the main problem with religion is also one of the main benefits. It's that sense of community, that sense of all being under an umbrella and all being the same. And I think that actually is a massive downfall and a massive problem for people, because people don't see individuals in terms of religious beliefs. So, for example, the terrible things that happened in Woolwich recently, where that man was brutally murdered, one of the things that happened in the backlash there was that local people drove miles down the road and attacked a mosque down there. Why? They've immediately assumed then, therefore, that the Muslim community is all evil and all wrong, because people who killed this man happened to fall under the umbrella of being Muslim. That doesn't mean that all Muslims are the same or that all Muslims are responsible for that murder. It was two individuals, two sick-minded, stupid individuals who made a really, really horrific mess, and who are now you're letting them reflect an entire religion, an entire race of people. If we can see two white people as completely separate entire entities, and one person goes out and commits a horrific crime, and we're not punishing this person, why are we doing that just because they're Muslim? Unfortunately, there's a large group of extremists within that religion, but there is also a huge percentage of people who do not share their beliefs in exactly the way. There are Catholic priests out there who have fiddled with kiddies. Doesn't mean that every Catholic does that. So in terms of a worldwide community, I actually feel like religion takes us backwards, like takes us back a step. Because if we associate one person who happens to be of one religion with an entire race of people, we're just on the route to nowhere. I mean, you can't take one person's actions and put that in an entire race of people. And I'm getting to the point now where I don't think it's right to see religion as anything different than skin colour or gender or sexuality. I think they're all of the same fibre, and just because one white person has stepped on my foot doesn't mean I'm going to hate all white people for the rest of my life. And just because one gay guy has told me that my dress is ugly doesn't mean I'm going to hate them all for the rest of my life, because that's one individual who's done that. It's not that entire community of people who has done that. And religion seems to be that one area where we can't crack that code. We can't break people down into individuals, because it's a belief system, because religion is a form of belief, rather than just a label. We can't separate it, and we should separate it. Basically, religion should not be a marker for the way that we treat people. We shouldn't consider somebody's religion as a reason to treat them differently any more than we should the way that they choose to dress or the people that they choose to date. I think it should be kept entirely separate from a person's identity and who a person is. And I think the reason that religion is so dangerous is because we don't separate that. And that is why entire communities and entire races have been condemned for their beliefs, because we don't necessarily separate those people from one another, which really does need to be done. And that's why the community becomes something that is highly unfortunate. In addition to that, I think that the irony of religions hurting each other and destroying each other and hating each other is that the majority of religions preach faith, and they preach peacefulness, and they preach kindness and generosity as the centre of their beliefs. And yet, just because another person who has the same belief system as you, but puts a different face on it, puts a different god on it, means that you can't be their friend. The majority of our gods say they are all forgiving and that they love us all, and yet we can't do that ourselves. If our gods are saying to us, love, forgive, be kind, why are we not doing that? Surely that in turn destroys the point of religion. If we can't follow the religion to the actual ground rules, and we can't follow the religion to the actual instructions our God has given us, which is to be kind and love one another, then why are we religious at all? Why are we fighting for a belief we're not even following? Because at the end of the day, if you can't be nice and you can't turn the other cheek, I know I'm talking Christian terminology here, but it actually, within different parameters, is the same for a lot of religions. If we can't be good and be kind to one another and forget religious differences and just be a whole worldwide loving community, then there's no point in following that religion, because you're just destroying it by pretending that you're following it but not actually following it. This is all a very confusing web that we live in here. I truly think that if we're going to believe wholeheartedly and with everything in one thing, that it should be in each other. I find it hard to believe that the sense of justice will be created when we pass, because if it was possible to create a sense of justice, it would be now, surely. If these gods are all powerful, there would be justice, peace, and unity now, as well as beyond. So I genuinely believe that we should filter all of the religious fervour that we have and all of the debates that we have into creating a world in which we can all live and be happy and love one another and care for one another and live safer and happier lives, and stop killing one another. Stop bashing each other over the heads with sticks and just live together happily and just be safe and comforted and healthy, happy human beings in a whole world where we share everything together. If we can't do that, then I don't really see much point in having strong religious beliefs, because we're not following them properly. Oh, I'm in a different t-shirt. That's a head fuck. God did it. That's because I've been editing this video for 3 whole days before I managed to put the little tail end onto it. So I felt this video wasn't quite as strong as my first one, probably because it's a topic where I have to try and remain kind of a little bit PC, so I don't get kicked off social media for good. So let's try and come up with a bit of a lighter topic next time, maybe. So either bung me an inbox or send me a comment below here, and I will try my best to approach whatever subject it is that you think needs approaching. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I don't know if I'll be doing this again soon or not, so we shall see.